All right. Can you announce the
Sangeeta just joined.
Hi, Sangeeta.
Hi.
The rest of the folks, please announce yourself.
Hi, myself is Nidhi.
Hi, Nidhi.
Hi, Shaily's here. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Shaili. Sean, can you hear me?
Hi, Suhash. I'm not getting a link to mute it.
Who's this? Mubina?
Nidhi.
You're not getting a link to mute your headset. What are you using? Your phone?
Yeah, iPhone.
iPhone.
Yeah. Yesterday I got the link, but today it's just showing cam only. No link to mute.
No, if you're using iPhone, you can just mute your iPhone, right?
Yeah, that I can do, but then it's better to have a link.
All right. Anybody else on the line? Sean, can you hear me? Just give me a couple of minutes, folks. There are a couple of others joining in. We'll make sure that everybody is taken care of.
Unmute.
Folks, give me a couple of minutes. We'll get started. Sir, can you please adjust yourself? Thank you. All right, folks, we'll get started. I'm assuming that all of you are able to see the screen and also you're able to hear me clearly. Let me know if that's not the case. Oh, is there a yes or no? Folks, somebody speak up.
This is Mubina.
Hi, Mubina. Are you able to hear me properly and are you able to see my screen? I have a Word document open in front of me.
I'm unable to see your screen. The only thing right now I see is we'll start in a few minutes. That's what I'm able to see.
Oh, yeah, fine. That means that you're able to see my screen.
Okay.
Hi, this is Nidhi. I can see your screen, same as yesterday.
Okay, perfect. Anybody else having any issues, folks?
It's fine.
All right. So I see Nasir, Mubina. So I see Nasir, Mubina, Karishma, Nidhi, Runa, Sangeeta,
Yeah.
Shaili, and Sean.
Yes.
Anybody else that I missed? All right, because I just want to make sure that we gather all the information because we have to set up this new blog from tomorrow. So I'll talk about this at the end of the class though, but let's get started. As far as the training goes, as we already discussed, today is the only class that we're going to start at 11 as we did, and we'll probably have it till 1 o'clock, 12:30 to 1. And from next week, the classes will start from 9 to 1 Eastern Time on both Saturdays and Sundays. Okay, and as I said, the first couple of sessions will be more into basics. Of course, understanding these basics is very, very critical to get into the next steps. Okay, and at any point, if you do not understand what I'm trying to say, or if you are confused with the terminology that I'm using, please do not hesitate to stop me right away. I want this session to be very much interactive session. All right. So there is nothing wrong in asking questions. It doesn't mean that you're looking stupid. No. All right. Every question can be asked. Any question can be asked. You can clarify any question right. All right. I'll spend 10-15 minutes even answering one person as well. That's fine. Because here the goal is to ensure that you're clear on every concept that I'm speaking. Okay. And, apart from, the session, if you have any other issues, you can also talk to me offline. And the goal is to make sure that all of us are in sync. Okay. Now, so we had this yesterday's introductory session. So we spoke about the project, IT project. We spoke about the roles and responsibilities of a business analyst. We also went over the whole project, IT project structure the other day. And we discussed each and every individual in the project, what their roles are, and what is the role of a business analyst in the project. Any questions?
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah, who's this?
What do I miss? Because I think I missed the first class.
I'm sorry, who's speaking?
Sean, yes.
Oh, Sean. Sean, I think we just spoke about the role and responsibility of a business analyst. You did not miss much. I think what we spoke yesterday was about the role of a business analyst in the IT industry, and what are you going to do as a business analyst. So, just to summarize, let's ask Mario. So, Mario, tell me, what do you mean? What is the role of a business analyst in the IT industry? Can you just summarize what we spoke yesterday, just in a nutshell, please?
For the most part, a business analyst will always gather the requirements from the stakeholders and the different people that need certain type of software to be developed. And then once he gathers all this information, he documents it in a way that he'll be able to introduce the information to a development team that will eventually create the software. So it's all about gathering information, translating it into technical terms.
And what are the skills that you think are required to become?
Great listening skills, documentation skills, I guess you could say translation skills, and then communication and organization. These are pretty much the things that a BA really needs.
Great. Thank you. Any questions, Sean?
No.
So this is the first class. We just had an overview about the role and responsibility of a BA yesterday, for like 30 minutes. But I think
yesterday?
You're still good. We did not miss much. This is the first class that we are starting today.
All right.
Okay?
Okay.
Nasir, you have a question? Nasir, are you able to hear me? All right, folks. So today we are going to talk about software development methodologies. Now, the goal. Excuse me, if all of you are muting your headsets, please mute your phones, all of you.
It's my phone.
Shaili, Sean, yeah, I think Sean has muted. You find any? Folks, if you are not muting your headsets, then I'll have to forcefully mute you, and you'll not be able to ask questions. Please, thank you. All right. I think everybody understands that we are trying to learn about business analysis, and you also agree with me that we are trying to get a break in the IT industry as a business analyst, right? When I say IT industry, technology industry, I think the end goal of this whole process is to develop and deliver a software which can be used to automate the business process. So yesterday we spoke about the business process automation, right? So here the goal at the end of the day in the IT industry is to develop and deliver a software project. And as a business analyst, your role is to communicate with the business stakeholders, understand what they want, document the information, document the requirements in English, and communicate the information back to the technology team in English. And as a business analyst, you will be acting as a liaison or a coordinator or a broker who understands the business need, documents this in English, and translates this and communicates this to the technology team. So as a business analyst, your role and responsibility is to coordinate, okay? And as we already discussed yesterday, you do not need any technology background or any other technical skills to perform this role, okay? Now, before we start talking about the list of things that a business analyst does, I want to take a step back and I want to give you the background as of how IT industry works. what are the different things that happen in the project? How does a project start? How do we get started? So all these are some basics we need to know. Okay, but here to start with, everybody understands that we are trying to, the goal in the IT industry is to develop a software, right? And obviously, the most important thing as a business analyst you need to understand is, how does this software development work? Where does it start? Where does it end? How do we start the development? Where does it get initiated? The whole 9 years. You need to understand the whole story, right, in order to actually jump in and start working. So that's the reason we are going to discuss about software development methodology. So what I mean by this software development methodology is a software development methodology defines a set of standards and methods that are used in the IT industry in the process of software development. I repeat, software development methodology is a set of standards and methods, defined set of standards and methods that every company, every client will be using in the process of developing software. All right? Now, question is, why do we need to use these methods and standards to develop software? I mean, just understand what the clients want and why don't we develop a software? Why do we need these methods? Right? I'm going to quickly list out these methods and I'll give you the background of these methods in a second. So there are so many different types of methodologies which are very popular in the industry. I'm going to quickly list out all these methods and we'll deep dive. Before we deep dive, we'll also talk about the background. So some of the software development methodologies are, to start with, is the traditional SDLC. Traditional SDLC. SDLC refers to software development lifecycle. Followed by waterfall methodology or model, whatever you want to call it. We also have RUP. In fact, it's called as IBM RUP. RUP stands for Rational Unified Process. We have RUP methodology. As I said, RUP stands for Rational Unified Process.
Subhash, sorry to interrupt, but are we supposed to see the screen? All we see is that Word document.
I'm really sorry. Okay, can you see my screen right now? Hello? Can you see that we have...
Yes, I can see it now, Subhash. I can see it.
I apologize. I think we have paused the screen and we were writing here and then you were not able to see it. I apologize.
Okay, no problem. Thank you.
Okay. You don't have to, folks on the line, you don't have to write. If you want to write, you can write it. That's fine. But you can see the screen. And I'm going to email this notes to everybody though.
Okay, thank you.
All right. IBM RUP model followed by Agile and to be precise, in Agile we are going to deep dive and talk about the Scrum based model. Okay, so some of the software development methodologies that I have listed here: traditional SDLC, traditional software development lifecycle, waterfall model or methodology, RUP methodology, which is RUP stands for Rational Unified Process. This is also called as IBM RUP because IBM has actually proposed this process or model. Okay, followed by Agile. Agile is also one of the methodology, and in Agile we have so many subcategories of software development models, out of which Scrum is one of the most popular, so we're going to talk about Scrum as well. Now, in addition to this these models, there are so many, hundreds of theories that were proposed. Okay, we are not interested in learning all of them. Let's try to focus on these 4 because these are the 4 models that you need to know and understand. Okay, all right. Now, as we said, why do we need to follow these methodologies in the process of software development? Agreed that there are so many theories, but why do we need to follow a process? So let's take a step back, and when the concept of software development started like 30, 40 years back, right? There was no model, there was no process, there was nothing, So the developers, they used to talk directly with the business users, find out what they want, and start coding, and start implementing the solution. Okay? So there was no systematic process, there was no organized approach, there was no plan, there was no proper planning. And because of this lack of planning and lack of proper process, I would say more than 70% of the projects that were initiated, initiated by the software development, failed to accomplish the objective. I repeat, 70% of the projects, the software development projects that were initiated, did not meet the end goal. 70% failed. The success criteria was only 30%. Now the question is, why is it so huge ratio where we have 70% failures? So when they did some analysis on why the projects are failing, and some of the most common reasons, you know any of them?
Not enough organization.
Okay. Some of the most common reasons that were identified was lack of proper planning. So when I say lack of proper planning, let's take a step back and deep dive into these issues. Number one, so the projects were developed, solution was ready, the software was developed. But however, when the software was presented to the stakeholders, the end users, I said, you know what, I don't think this is what I'm looking for. Right? I mean, they wanted this software to be developed, and based on their requirements, the software was developed and delivered to them. But after spending so much time and money and effort, the end users feel that this is not what they wanted. But why is this coming in the last minute? When the production, everything, development is complete, the coding is done, and the software is ready to use, and people are saying that this is not what they want. But this analysis as of what is required and what is not required should have been done on day one.
But the requirements weren't gathered correctly, right?
The requirements were not gathered correctly, and also the scope was not defined properly. The scope of work was not defined properly, and when the stakeholders started discussion about what they want, they did not get enough time to think what is required before the development starts. All they knew was they had a concept in mind, and before they realize what they want, the solution is already implemented. And at the end of the day, if the stakeholders are not able to use the software product, then what is the point in spending so much time and money, right? That is one of the most commonly faced issue. And the second issue was with the technical implementation. Now, what happened was the requirements were identified. The business users said, okay, well, this is what we want. Now, the technology team started the coding, and after completing 80% of the project, they realized that they hit a roadblock. Now, what I mean by hitting a roadblock is they realized that the technical solution they have chosen, the approach, the technology approach they have chosen is not going to give them the final result. But this analysis should have been done on day one, not after you complete 70% of your job.
So there were
right?
no prototypes, right?
I'm sorry?
no prototypes were developed. Like there was not that process where they would go back to the client in the middle of it.
Correct. So the technology solution, before they start implementing, you should have a detailed analysis. You should have a thorough analysis of what needs to be done, how it needs to be done, right? Without having a proper roadmap, they hit a roadblock and eventually they realize that, we cannot move forward. And by the time it's too late, right? Because you have spent so much time, spent so much money on it, and end of the day, everything is going garbage. And also, a couple of things were regarding the budget, right? There was no proper budget analysis, no proper planning performed, no proper estimation. Just because they had some money, they used to start development activity, but after completing 70 to 80%, they realized that they don't have money anymore to implement the next steps. But this should be done on day one, not at the last minute, or not after you're burned out, right? So all these are some of the most common issues that the implementation was facing, and because of these, more than 70% of the solution of the software projects ended up being failures. Then people started realizing that I think there are so many issues and so many projects are failing. I think we need to have a proper organized and systematic approach. Then the concept of and then so many organizations started proposing theories. I think we should follow this approach, and hundreds of theories came up. Okay, out of which some of the theories which were successful is what we are going to discuss here. To start with, the traditional software development lifecycle, waterfall model, RUP model, agile, and of course there are so many of them which are successful. When I say successful, when the development team or the whole project was implemented using these models, the team was able to successfully develop and deliver the solution. So that's the reason these are some of the most popular software development methodologies which are used currently in the IT industry. As of now, one of the most popular is Agile, and in Agile, Scrum implementation is one of the most popular. Okay. Now, I'm going to start talking about the traditional software development lifecycle. Please pay utmost attention. If you understand the software development lifecycle, the rest of them fall in place. Okay, it's just that there are some twists and tweaks in the rest of the models, but I think understanding the basic software development lifecycle is very, very critical. This is the platform for all of us. All right. Any questions so far?
No.
Great. All right. Folks on the phone, if you have any pauses in between, that means that I'm writing on the board as well as we speak. I'm in the classroom. I have like around 7 students here in the class. So if there is a long pause, that doesn't mean that you're disconnected. You just have to pay attention. That's all. All right. Now, as I said, traditional software development lifecycle is one of the most sought and one of the popular software development methods used in the IT industry in the process of software development. A software development lifecycle is a systematic and organized approach towards software development. Okay, and in the process of developing software using this software development lifecycle, there are certain set of phases with which we implement this solution, we accomplish this goal. The goal is to develop software, right? But to reach our goal, we need to follow certain set of phases or certain set of steps. So I'm going to list all the phases that we're going to follow, and we'll deep dive into each and every phase, and we'll also discuss what are the milestones that will be accomplished in each and every phase. All right. So to start with, in the traditional SDLC, the very first phase is planning and analysis, followed by requirements gathering, planning and analysis, number 2, requirements gathering, number 3, design, number 4, development, followed by number 5, testing, number 6, go live, and production support. All right. Let me read this again. There are 6 phases that we are going to follow to accomplish our goal. Our goal is to develop the software. And in the process of implementing the software solution, these are the 6 phases that I'm going to follow and implement using the traditional SDLC. And the phases that are listed here are planning and analysis, requirements gathering, design, development, testing, followed by go live and production support. Now, the purpose of breaking down this whole process into multiple phases is to have a clear understanding as of what we want to do in each phase. We also need to understand what are the milestones or artifacts that are developed and delivered in each and every phase. We also need to understand who are the people involved in each and every phase, what are the roles and responsibilities of each and every individual in a particular phase, and also we'll try to understand the role of a business analyst, to be precise, in each and every phase. So in that way, you will have the complete picture as of what is going on from start till the end, and what is the role of a business analyst, in each and every phase. Is it clear? Okay. All right. To start with, planning and analysis phase. As you see, planning and analysis phase is the very first phase, the initiation phase in the project. And some of the milestones, I'm going to list out some of the milestones or artifacts that are delivered in this phase, and we'll deep dive into each of them. All right. So planning and analysis phase, the very first milestone that is delivered here is scope and vision document, followed by the feasibility analysis, and risk analysis and mitigation plan. We also have budget plan, project plan, all right. I think these are some of the milestones that are delivered in the planning and analysis phase. To start with, scope and vision document, feasibility study or feasibility analysis, risk analysis and mitigation plan, budget plan, and project plan. These are some of the milestones that are accomplished. Now let's try to understand what each of this means. The planning and analysis phase is the very first phase to start with, right? And in the planning and analysis phase, what we try to do is we try to define the scope and vision of the project. Now, what do we mean by scope and vision? Who documents the scope and vision? What information is documented in scope and vision? And why do we need to document scope and vision? I think these are few things that you need to know as a BA. A scope and vision document identifies the business process that needs to be automated. A scope and vision document is a high-level document which identifies what are the business areas, what are the business processes that need to be automated. Simple example. Let us say Bank of America is offering a new credit card. They might want an automated solution with which they can cater the customers. Or let us say HSBC is offering loans to the customers. Right now, everything is paperwork. Right? Now, offering a loan to the customer is the business process. That's what I'm going to do. Right? Geico or Progressive Insurance. They sell insurance. Right? Selling insurance is their business process. You know, whatever they do to make money is the business process. Any and everything that involves in this whole, buying and selling is a process. Right? Now here, as all of you agree, the purpose of implementing an IT solution, a software solution, is to identify the business process and automate the process. When I say automate, by developing software solutions. Right? Now, in the scope and vision document, the goal is to identify what are the business processes that needs to be automated. We need to identify, I may have a big business where I'm doing, hundreds of transactions, or I may have a lot of things that I'm doing. But from a business perspective, what is that I want? What is that I want software for? What are the business areas that I want to automate? What are the different business processes which I think makes sense to automate? For example, if we are offering a credit card to the customer, as of now, to deliver to review a credit card application and to verify the credit check and to enroll a customer and deliver the credit card to the customer, this whole process is probably taking 8 weeks, let us say. So we want to cut this short, right? We want to cut this business process short, and we want to accomplish this goal, this whole process, in 3 days. And we need automated solution with which we can offer this credit card within 3 days to the customer. Right? This is a business process. And it is very important to, now in addition to this, from a business perspective, they may be doing so many things. They may be, taking payments online, they may be doing so many things. But it is very important that you identify the business process that needs to be automated. All right? Now, why do we need to identify and why do we need to document it? Why do we need to define the scope? So we could present to the IT department. Okay. Now, what you said is right. But here, when you start, now, question number 1, who defines the scope? Or who identifies the business process?
Client.
The client or the stakeholders, right? The client or the stakeholders are the ones who identify the business process. Okay. Now, what happens is you need to make sure as a BA or from the project perspective, it is very important that they're very clear on what they're asking, right? And, based on the history, there are so many instances where the stakeholders are not clear on the scope, on the business process. Number 2, there are so many instances where they keep, adding more items, more features to the scope or reduce features from the scope because they're not clear. What we want to do is we want to make sure that we identify the scope and we lock down the scope. We don't want to deviate. If this is what you want, we will document this in the scope, we will identify the scope, and we will get this approved. Because we want a clear vision as of what we want to do and where we are heading towards. So here the goal is to identify the scope and and put a boundary on what is expected.
Subhash, quick question. This is Sherry. So is the business analyst's role then to go back to the chalkboard and help them identify these things and narrow them down, or not so much? I mean, the stakeholders are doing their own process at this point.
Good question. I was about to get to that point though.
Right. Okay.
Now, as a business analyst, now first of all, first thing I think we already addressed, right? Who defines the scope? It is the stakeholders or the clients who are going to define the scope. Now, what is your role as a business analyst in the scope and vision? Your role as a business analyst is to talk to the stakeholders or clients, understand what they want, and help them document the scope and vision. So your role as a BA is to document. You will not be dictating the scope. The scope and the business process identification will be performed by the stakeholders. And as a business, your role is to help them elaborate it, make them understand what they are asking for, and put them in a document and lock it down. Is it clear?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Now, one more thing you also need to understand here, in the scope and vision document, we clearly identify what is in scope, and we also identify what is out of scope. Our question is, why are we talking about something which is out of scope? Why do we need to document it? The reason why we have to document out of scope is to ensure that the stakeholders are not making assumptions out of requirements. I'll give you a very simple example to illustrate this. Let us say the scope is to build a web-based banking site, create a banking portal, a website, where the clients can log in and, there are different things they can do. Like, for example, they can look at their, bank balance. And one of the features is transfer funds. Okay? The scope says that the client should be able to transfer funds online. Okay? Now, with this one statement, I can make multiple assumptions. Assumption number one, the customer should be able to transfer funds within his accounts, which is the internal transfer, right? The customer should be able to transfer funds outside the bank, outside his account, which is external transfer. The customer should be able to transfer funds outside the country, which is international transfer, right? Now, these are the three assumptions, logical assumptions that I can drive out of this requirement which is in scope, which is transfer funds, right? Yeah. Now, on day one, if we know that international transfer is not going to be delivered as part of this solution, then you need to make it very clear that international fund transfer is out of scope. All right. So what is in scope? Internal and external fund transfer is in scope, and international fund transfer is out of scope. So the reason why you would document the out of scope items is to make sure that there is no room for assumptions. Because based on the requirements that you have written, if you are not making it very clear as of what is going to be delivered and what is not going to be delivered, there is room for confusion. So you are pretty much removing all the areas wherever they could, assume things, and make it very clear that, okay, this is what you're going to get, and this is what you're not going to get. All right? And also the scope and vision.
That means, that you have to understand the business too in order to
Sorry, who's
write
speaking?
down the. This is Nasir, Subhash.
Yeah, Nasir, go ahead.
I'm saying that is that mean that I have to understand that application or that process So I can write down if I don't know if there is any such thing like external or international, then I may not be able to write down those things.
Now here, what you said is right. Now as a business analyst, you may be working in any industry. It could be banking, it could be pharma, it could be healthcare, any industry. All right? And yeah, as you said, most of the time you will not be able to logically conclude, what is going to be out of scope. Right? And in this context, what happens is business stakeholders have to come back and tell you, okay, if you're not doing this, then, okay, this is going to be out of scope. And also, you will be interacting with the technology team and you'll be interacting with the architecture team. So there will be so many people who will also be helping you to put this document together.
Okay.
And again, as I said, you may end up working in so many different lines of businesses. And there is no guarantee that you will understand the whole background of the business. I mean, if you know the business, well and good. If you don't know it, there are people, around you to help you.
Subhash, I have a question.
I'm sorry, I'm not able to hear you. Who's speaking? Can you be a little loud, please?
This is Runa. Can you hear me now?
No, your voice is very low. Are you on speaker?
Yes, I'm on speaker.
No, please, if you're asking question, please remove the speaker and come close to the phone.
Okay, can you hear me now?
It's a little better. Go ahead.
Okay. I suppose by the discussion that this scope vision document it should take a long time, right? A lot of meetings and again refining the document again and again.
I mean, so when you say a lot of time, it depends on the volume of the scope. Yeah, I mean, it could take one day, it could take probably 6 months also.
Okay.
Yeah, there will be a lot of revisions. You will be, constantly, having meetings, and you will continue to document this over a period of time.
Because it really has to be in very, very detailed form.
No, it will not be in a detailed manner. That's what I was trying to tell you. A scope and vision document is going to outline the business process. It is not going to deep dive and tell each and every minute requirement in this process. It's going to only identify, always remember, this is a high-level document. This is not a low-level document. All this is going to say is, okay, fine, we need a bank portal where the client has all these features. That's all. It's a very high-level document. It's not going to deep dive and discuss each and every minute level of information. That is going to happen in the requirements gathering phase, not here.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any more questions, folks in the class? Okay. Now, the scope and vision document gives, as I said, gives a clear picture of what is going on. And as a business analyst, you will be, as I said, you will be working closely with the stakeholders, help them put everything together in one paper. And this document has to be reviewed and approved by the stakeholders and clients, saying that, okay, fine, we have reviewed the scope and this is what we want. And these are the business processes that need to be automated. We agree. And somebody from the business is going to sign off officially on this scope and vision. All right. So once this is approved, then we go ahead to the next step, which is the feasibility analysis or feasibility study. So now we know what is in scope. We know we have identified the business process. Now we need to clearly understand whether the scope that we are asking for, is it really feasible to implement or not? I mean, they can ask for 10 things, but from the implementation perspective, is it really feasible to have this kind of solution automated? Right? Now, during the feasibility study, we perform something called as SWOT analysis. All right. As part of, I repeat, as part of the feasibility. Now, the purpose of feasibility analysis is to identify and understand whether the business process that we are trying to automate, is it really worth it? Is it really worth spending time and money and automating the solution? Right. So, from the budget perspective, from the returns perspective, is it really going to give me returns? You know, am I going to develop a good product? You know, is it really worth spending so much time and money on this, and so much infrastructure and people on this? So all this is something which you know, you need to understand from the feasibility analysis. And the feasibility, and as part of the feasibility analysis, one of the study or one of the analysis that is performed is called as SWOT analysis. SWOT analysis stands for, S stands for strengths, identifying the strengths, understanding the weaknesses, analyzing the opportunities, and eliminating the threats. S for strength, W for weakness, O for opportunity, and T for threat. So here, who is going to perform the feasibility analysis? Is it a BA, or is it the client or subject matter expert? Who is it? In this context, the subject matter experts. So the subject matter experts or the stakeholders are responsible for strength, weakness, opportunities, threats. Right, what is it? Right. So here, the subject matter experts, whoever knows the business, you know, are going to perform this SWOT analysis. All right. So as part of the SWOT analysis, you know, when we automate this business process, the question is, you know, with the organization's strength, you know, our company already has a good market. So how is it going to be a strength to our company? You know, what are the different weakness areas of this product? You know, from the company perspective or from the product perspective, what are the negative things? What are the weaknesses? Okay, what are the potential opportunities we have in the market? You know, and what are the threats? Who are the competitors? You know, for example, if Apple is coming up with the product, they're always going to think about what you know, the Android companies are doing. Like, what is Samsung doing? Right? They always, you know, look out for, you know, each other and see what the other guy is doing as part of their process. Right? Because they need to really understand and see what is going on in the market, what is hot in the market, who are the competitors, and how can we beat the competitors. I think this is all.
I have a question, Subhash.
Yeah, go ahead.
Question is, if the SWOT analysis is to be done by the business expert or the client,
that is correct.
So why we are putting this in our document? This is to be their process, not our, as a business PA or something?
Point number one, I never said that as a business analyst you are going to be documenting this. The milestones that I'm discussing here in the planning and analysis phase, as a business analyst you need to understand each and every milestone, and that's the reason we are talking about this.
Thank you. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. No problem. All right. I think as a business analyst, most of the time you may not be even seeing these documents or feasibility study documents at all, but it's always good to know, you know, what happens in the background. All right. So once the feasibility study is done, and when the stakeholders feel comfortable saying that, okay, fine, whatever the scope we have identified, you know, it really makes sense for us to go ahead and start implementing the solution, then we move ahead to the next step, which is the risk analysis and mitigation plan. Now, one thing that may happen here, as a BA, you may be interacting with the stakeholders or whoever is the expert who is working on the feasibility analysis, and you may be assisting them in documentation. Probably all of you will sit together and he'll give you information, he'll give you the analysis he has done, and as a BA you may be putting things together. This documentation again, which is unlikely to happen. The next one, risk analysis and mitigation plan. What is risk analysis and what do you mean by mitigation plan? So once we know what the process is, once we have identified the scope, once we have defined what is required. And once we know that the solution is feasible, we also need to understand what are the potential risks involved in implementing the solution. And again, this risk analysis goes hand in hand with the SWOT analysis. In the risk analysis, we are going to identify each and every potential risk. For example, let us say if the demanding budget is around 10 million, do we have that money? What happens if we cannot accomplish this within the budget? What happens if we cannot accomplish this solution in the given time? What happens if there is a technical challenge? So as part of the risk analysis, pretty much we identify each and every potential risk involved in this whole implementation. It could be not only from the technology side, but also from the business side. What happens if the other competitor is also working on the same product, and if he's launching this product in a cheaper price? How do we handle that? How do we address that issue? So all those risks are identified and outlined, and they come up with a mitigation plan. A mitigation plan is a plan which is going to minimize or eliminate the risk. If we cannot eliminate the risk, at least how can we minimize it? How can we mitigate it? So the mitigation plan and the for each risk is identified and documented in the risk analysis and the mitigation planning document. And again, here the experts or clients who knows the in and out of business is responsible for documenting and delivering this. Subject matter experts or the clients who is working on implementing the solution. Now, as the BA, again, your role may be very limited. You may be responsible for documenting the risk analysis as well. Maybe. And please remember, guys, at any point you will not be responsible for dictating any information that is going here. Everything is driven by the experts, by the operations or experts, whoever you want to call. All right. Moving to the next one, budget plan. So now we know what we want. We are pretty much very clear on what needs to be done. We know all the risks. Everything is done. We need to estimate how much money is it going to take to get this done, right? Now, who is going to give this estimate? The technology team. See, the business has asked something. Now, the technology team is going to implement the solution. Now, the technology team has to come back and say how much money is required, right? Now, the project manager is responsible for identifying the budget, identifying the estimate of budget required to get this solution out. Okay. Now, how does the project manager come up with this budget plan? What is the milestone, or what is the base for a project manager to prepare a high-level budget plan? Based on the requirements. We don't have requirements. Correct. Based on this, we still don't have requirements here. Remember, right? So far, all we know is scope, a high-level overview of what is required. So, based on the scope defined and approved by the stakeholders, the project manager will come up with a high-level budget estimate, and this budget estimate is called as L0 estimate. I repeat, based on the scope definition approved by the stakeholders, the project manager will come up with a budget plan, and this budget plan is a high-level budget plan, which is called as L0 estimate. This is the very first initial estimate provided by the project manager, and this is called as L0. L0 stands for level 0. Now, level 0 is a high-level estimate. Now, what do you mean by high-level estimate? It doesn't give a clear breakup. It's not going to give you a detailed breakup. It's going to say, okay, fine, if this is what you want, if you want this bank portal with all these features, it's going to cost you 10 million. That's all. Right? Now, what happens is, when the business stakeholders, they get this estimate, they start looking into it, and most of the time they're not comfortable spending so much money because they feel that, you know what, this is very expensive. You know, they don't want to spend so much money. They may come back and they may ask for details. You know, just give me a breakup. Why do you think you need 10 million? Just give us a breakup and let us know why you think it's going to cost you 10 million. Right? Then the project manager will come up with another estimate, which is called as L1 estimate. L1 estimate is the low-level estimate. L0 is the high-level estimate, and L0 is the low-level estimate. L1 estimate gives the detailed breakup as of what are the activities involved and what is the budget required for each activity.
Can I ask
Pretty much
you
it
one
gives
question?
a complete breakup. I'm sorry?
Can I ask you one question then?
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
For this kind of, I can understand L0 estimate. Probably project manager has a big experience and he can say this is the cost is going to be by looking at the trend. But L1 is the low level, probably require a lot of time. And question is that is the company paid for all those things, or those are all free, just like other estimates?
When you say company is paid for this thing, can you elaborate your question, please?
Like wherever I am working, this is a project manager is the software company, right?
I mean, it need not be a software company. You know, it could be a bank, there could be a technology team. See, at least these days, every company has a business department and a technology department. Right? So the business and technology are interacting with each other. The technology department is still getting paid. Right? They are full-time employees of the bank or of the client. Now, but here, I think you actually brought up a good point, Nasir. There could be a scenario where the project scope could be outsourced to some XYZ development company for implementation. I mean, since last 5-10 years, every client has their own technology team. But 10-15 years ago, most of the projects were, outsourced to different development companies. For example, back in India, companies like Wipro, Infosys, Satyam, these were TCS. So these companies used to, give a quote, which is the L0, L1 estimates, and they used to, if the budget is approved, if they are okay with what they're getting, they used to start implementing the solution. Now, I think Nasir brought a good point. The question is, when they are working on this budget planning, when the technology team and the business are working on coming to a same understanding, obviously it needs a lot of time. Now the question is the client going to pay a vendor like Infosys, Wipro, Satyam, is the client going to pay for the time that they are spending on this analysis? No. No, they're not going to pay. For example, if you have to fix your car, you go take it to a mechanic, probably, he'll charge you, but in the IT industry, that's not how it works. You come, give me an estimate, that's fine. I'll see if I can spend money or not. Right? And once they get into an agreement saying that, okay, fine, we are going to go ahead with you, then the billing starts. Even companies like, even now, companies like IBM, which are more into consulting, what they do is, till the planning analysis phase, they work for free. They promise everything to the clients. They send their experts to the client location to understand what is required. Until this budget gets approved and they get the project, they do everything for free. They don't charge. But once it gets approved, the next minute the billing starts. But again, that's in between the business and the technology. Go ahead.
But if they're doing deep learning analysis for some company, for instance, can they use these same projects for implementation or something?
I'm not sure if I understand what you asked.
So you said that IBM is doing deep learning analysis for free until the budget plan is approved.
For that particular scope.
For that particular.
But if they're going to some other client, then the scope obviously will be different. Correct.
Subhash, how I understand this is, hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, if you want a health insurance, you can, or a car insurance, you can call up 2-3 companies and ask for a quote.
Correct.
They don't charge you to give you the quote.
Obviously.
And when you start getting that insurance from them, then you pay them. It's same like that.
That is correct. Absolutely right. See, when you...
They can use this work for a different company. I mean, they can use this scope.
See, the scope is specific to organization, right? Like, for example, if I come, if you call me to fix your house, right? You have a lot of things that your house needs to be fixed. So based on your scope, I'm going to give you an estimate, right? If I go to a different house, then based on what they want, I'm going to give a different scope. I cannot use this scope to the next one, right?
How will you use your scope?
Sorry?
How will you use your scope, your work?
I'm not going to, see, as a technology team, I'm not going to, define my own scope. I'm going to talk to the business users, because users define the scope, right? And based on the scope definition, I'm going to give an estimate, right? Is it clear or are we missing? Okay. Folks on the phone, any questions?
No, this is very helpful. That's a good question, Doctor. Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
All right. So now, moving to the next part, which is, and again, before we move to the next one, as part of there are a lot of projects. I would say around 50 to 60% of the projects are put on hold, and they never get to see the light because of budget issues. Okay, because of obviously the business feels that they have to spend more, and the technology wants more money, right? So because of this lack of agreement, and again there will be so many meetings that are held between the business and the technology team to come to a understanding, and unfortunately 40 to 50% of the time they don't agree with each other. The business doesn't want to spend money, and the technology team says, you know what, we cannot do it with what you have, what you are offering. And again, sometimes what happens is the concept of bargaining and comes into picture, and sometimes they agree the very first day. Sometimes you may have to bring a lot of people, and what happens is usually business will have a specific budget every year that they can spend. Okay, and if the estimate is crossing what is being given to them, then the business users, if they really understand that, okay, this is an actual estimate, if they agree to the estimate, then the business users or experts will go back to the stakeholders and put this proposal and tell them that, we have this money, but however, if we want this implemented, we need more money, and is there a room for us to put more money? They have to get some approval, or if it gets denied, then the project is going on hold. Or the other alternative is there are 10 items that are being asked in the scope, right? And if 10 items, for 10 items, the budget estimate is, let us say, $10 million, right? If we cannot afford 10 million, let us say if we can only afford around 8 million. So let's go back and cut down some of the scope, right? Out of 10 items, which are least important? let's just cut down those items and let's go ahead and implement whatever we can, right? Whatever we can afford, let's go ahead and do it. And maybe for the next financial fiscal year, when we have budget, we can try to accommodate the rest of items which are being deferred or disclosed. So all this discussion, is back and forth between the business, technology, and the stakeholders. All right. Now, once this is clear, then the next step is project planning. So we have all the approvals. We know what we have, what has to be done. Now we need to plan the project. Okay, project plan. Who prepares the project plan? What information goes in the project plan? And what are the different tools used in the IT industry to prepare a project plan?
I think this is BA job.
Project manager.
Yeah, a project manager is involved in defining the project plan. Okay. Now, sometimes a business analyst may be also involved in documenting and defining the project plan. We'll talk about it in a minute. But let's try to understand what goes in a project plan. A project plan identifies the set of tasks that need to be accomplished as part of this project. So the goal is to develop and deliver the software based on the scope, right? So in order to accomplish this goal, in order to deliver the software, what are the list of tasks that need to be accomplished? Design, development, everything. Every inch of information needs to be documented. So we identify all the tasks that need to be accomplished. And number two, we identify the resources. So who are the resources working on these tasks? So identifying the resources, identifying the task, assigning the task to the resource, and also number three, identifying the start date and end date for each and every task. I repeat, the three important activities that happen in the project plan is number one, identify the task, hire and assign the resources to each task. Number three, identify the start and end date for each and every task. Right? Because every task has to start at a certain point and has to end at a certain point. So we need to be very clear on each and every task. So at a high level, a project plan is going to give you a clear picture as of when is the project going to start and when is the project going to end and what happens in the whole project duration. So this gives a clear picture as of where we stand at any point. Even from the project management perspective, it gives a very clear picture as of who are the people involved in the project, what are these resources doing. The project manager can easily track each and every resource in the project by looking at this plan. Right? So based on the plan, let us say if I want to understand are we on track or not, I can pick up a resource and task, and based on this plan, resource ABC should have completed task 1 and he should have started task 2, and at this point of time today, as of today, he should have completed 70% of the task based on the plan, right? I can go talk to the resource directly and find out what's going on. Based on the plan, this is what it should have been. Where are we? Are we on track? Are we lagging behind? What are the issues? So in this way, the project manager has this plan, that he'll be tracking on a daily basis to make sure that the project is in track. Okay, and usually from the project tracking perspective, the status, every project has a status. Okay, and the status is determined in 3 colors. The project status, or the health of an application of a project, an IT project, is defined in 3 colors: green, yellow, and red. Okay, so what happens is when the project is initiated on a weekly basis or on a bi-weekly basis, let us say if the project is scheduled for 6 months, at the end of the 6th month, the software is supposed to be developed and delivered to the customer. Okay? But we need to let the business users and stakeholders know what's going on, right? They need updates on a daily basis or maybe weekly or bi-weekly basis. Okay? Now, as a business analyst, you may be involved in preparing these kind of status reports, and you'll be assisting the project manager in putting all these things together. But from a project status reporting perspective, the project can be reported in 3 colors: green, yellow, and red. If the project status is green, this means that everything is going good. We are on track. We are tracking the project plan. All the tasks are, have been completed, and whatever is in progress is good to go. There is no major issue that is going to stop this project from being delivered on time. If the project status is yellow, this means that, we are not tracking and we are not on track. And as of now, we are lagging behind, but however, we are sure that we will make it up. I repeat, the project status, if it is yellow, this means that the project is behind the schedule as of now. As of today, we are not at a stage where we want to be. But however, we can catch up. We can catch up, and there is still scope for us to get it fixed in the upcoming weeks. Okay? Now, the project is red, definitely is a danger. Red indicates that there is something terribly going wrong, and if this continues, we will not be able to deliver it on time. Okay? And the moment the stakeholders see that there is a red status, they will definitely start getting into these meetings and try to understand what's the issue, what is going on, what are the hindrances, what are the obstacles, that are hampering this progress. And, everybody will be jumping in and trying to do their best to get this back to the track. Okay, the question is, where can you see these symbols? You mean, where can you see the green, yellow? It's not a symbol. When you publish the status, so usually you publish the status in an Excel sheet or some reports to the stakeholders. So on the dashboard or wherever you are projecting your status, you'll say that, okay, the project status this week is yellow, this week is green. You just say it, that's all. There is no specific symbol that you'll use to represent this. I mean, probably you may want to, show a red color and represent red color, that's all, but there's nothing specific here.
Can you tell me, Subhash, what are the consequences of red project or red status?
The consequences, as I said, the stakeholders obviously will be concerned, right? Because the technology team is lagging behind. Red definitely is an indication that there is something terribly wrong. So what happens is, as soon as the project status goes red, and everybody from the stakeholders and the technology team, everybody gets into these meetings, try to understand what are the issues, and the goal is to have these issues which are putting the project at a stake to be resolved as soon as possible. It could be, for example, let us say budget, right? If the technology team is still waiting on the budget because they don't have resources to get the job done, the budget was supposed to be approved 2 weeks back, but this week is still pending. Because the budget is pending approval, I'm not able to hire resources. So as a project manager from the technology team, I'm going to report the status as red because I don't have people to work and deliver it, right? So similarly, there's so many issues. And obviously, unless until you report this and highlight and blow a trumpet, people don't want to listen sometimes. So this way, people start identifying what are the issues and at least try to get to a resolution as soon as it is published to the world. Does that help?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Pretty much once we are done with our budget and project planning, we have a clear understanding. We have a clear roadmap as of what needs to be done, how things need to be done. We pretty much have a project plan, we have a budget plan, everything is good to go. And also what happens is sometimes the stakeholders may have concerns about the project plan. Let us say based on the scope, as I said, the project manager is going to put a plan, right? The plan could be delivering the project in 6 months or 9 months or 1 year, whatever it is, right? Now, again, the project plan has to be reviewed by the stakeholders. They have to agree and approve that, okay, fine, we are okay with this approach, and we are okay to have this delivered in the next 6 months or 1 year. Any questions? This is all about the planning and analysis phase. Any questions, folks?
No, we're good. Thank you.
So far, are we going slow or fast, or are we good on the pace?
I think
good?
we are very good in this.
Good on the pace.
All right, perfect. So let's move on to requirements gathering. Give me 1 second, folks. All right. So moving on to the requirements gathering phase. Sean has a question? Yeah. Sean, go ahead. Sean, can you hear me? You can also type if you are not able to speak.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Oh, I think I'm mute. Can we like get a diagram so we can get the picture clearer?
Diagram of what?
Breakdown, like something like a cloud diagram, like SDLC into waterfall, so we can get more picture, more clearer, and more understanding.
Yes, I'm going to give you diagrams, and I'm also going to give you pictures, and we also have a lot of material where we have all this information captured. I'm going to share everything with you.
Okay, thank you.
Right. I think you were not present yesterday, so there is a training blog where all the material is uploaded. So I can walk you through that after the class.
There was a class yesterday.
That was not for you. That was the introduction session. You already had it.
Okay.
Right. All right. Now, moving to the next part, the requirements gathering. What is requirements gathering, and what are the milestones accomplished as part of the requirements gathering phase? Right. So, some of the milestones that are accomplished in the requirements gathering phase are BRD, number 1. BRD stands for Business Requirement Document, followed by FRD, Functional Requirement Document, then we also have use cases, followed by UML diagrams. UML stands for Unified Modeling Language. We also have RTM. RTM stands for Requirements Traceability Matrix. Requirements Traceability Matrix. Followed by data analysis and data mapping. We also have something called as CR. CR stands for change request. Change request document. Okay. Okay. Let me repeat. Some of the milestones accomplished in the requirements gathering phase are to start with BRD, business requirement document, FRD, functional requirement document, use cases, UML diagrams. UML stands for Unified Modeling Language. RTM stands for Requirements Traceability Matrix, followed by data analysis and data mapping. And we also have something called as CR, which is change request.
Slightly confused here, Subhash. When you collect those requirements, those are all requirements you have to collect, or those are like one of the requirements to be collected according to the business need?
Okay. See, I did not say that all of them are requirements.
Okay.
Okay. These are some of the milestones that you may deliver as a business analyst in the requirements gathering phase. Now, it could be few of them or it could be all of them. We will deep dive and we'll talk about each of them, eventually in the class. Okay?
Okay.
But at a high level, what I want to talk about is the requirements gathering phase. The objective of requirements gathering phase is to elaborate and deep dive and document the minute level of details required for the development team to develop the technical solution. So far, we just had the planning and analysis phase, right? We did not have any requirements. All we had was scope, right? We had the scope definition where we identified the business process at a high level and we defined that, okay, fine, this is what we want. But we did not elaborate, we did not document the details of the requirements. Right? So, in the requirements gathering phase, the very first milestone that is delivered is the BRD. The business requirement document is the very first milestone that is delivered as part of the requirements gathering phase. Now, the question is, what is a BRD? And how different is a BRD from the scope and vision? Now, first of all, how am I going to document this BRD? How am I going to start documenting this BRD? What is the start point for me as a BA to start documenting the business requirements? Where do I start? How do I get started? Which is the reference point for me to start documenting the business requirements? Where do I refer?
The scope and vision. Yes.
Correct. So, from the scope and vision, you start deep diving into the details and you start deriving the business requirements from the scope and vision. So, you elaborate the scope and you start jotting down the high-level business need. Now, what is a BRD? A BRD or a business requirement document is a high-level document which identifies the business need and which documents the business need at a high level. A scope and vision document identifies the business process and it identifies the business requirement at a high level. Now, when I say business requirement, it's going to elaborate. A scope and vision document is going to talk about the start to end of a business process, saying that, okay, we have a product and we need to automate this business process for this product, okay? But it is not going to write or document each and every detail of that particular business process. So in the business requirement document, we are going to break down the business process and we are going to identify each and every requirement that needs to be accomplished to have our scope accomplished, I would say. So we are breaking down the scope and we are elaborating the scope and we are documenting and identifying the business needs which are falling around the business process. So pretty much we are breaking down the business process at a high level and we are putting it in details. But again, even this requirement document is high level. A business requirement document identifies the business needs, but it is not going to document the solution. I repeat, a business requirement document is a high level. This is an interview question. The interview question can be, okay, what is a BRD? Okay, so a business requirement document is a high level document which identifies the business requirement, which identifies the business need. It is only going to talk about what the business needs, but it's not going to talk about the solution for that need. I'm going to give you some examples so that it makes sense to you, right? So the scope and vision says that, okay, we need a banking solution with which the customers can actually, access their accounts. They can access their checking account, saving account. They should be able to, pretty much navigate and do whatever they want with their accounts. That is the scope, right? Now, in the business requirement document, we are going to elaborate the scope. And we are going to say, okay, fine. So if we are trying to offer this banking site, first of all, we need security, right? We need security for this site. We need to give them access, right? The requirement is to give them an access, first of all, right? And to give them a login feature where they can, log into the site. So here, one of the business requirement as part of your business requirements is provide access credentials so that, the right customer is accessing his account. That's one of the business requirement which is elaborated from your scope. Right? In order to accomplish your scope, your business requirement, which is elaborated out of your scope, is to have some access credentials with which the customer can go ahead and access their account. Does that make sense? Now here, in the business requirement document, again, it's a high level. All I'm saying is that only the right user should access his account. All right? That's all I'm saying. But the business requirement says that, give them a security with which the right user is able to access his account. It should not be, misused. All right? Now, this is a business need. Now, what is the solution for this need? We are not documenting the solution. We are only talking about what is required. Okay? Now, the business solution or the functional solution for this requirement is documented in FRD. All right? Once we have identified the business need, then we would go ahead and we would elaborate the solution for that particular requirement in the FRD. FRD stands for Functional Requirement Document. Folks, I'm going to be using these abbreviations and jargons. You need to start getting used to it. All right? Because when you get into the IT industry, this is what people use. Nobody's going to say a functional requirement document, business requirement document. So these are all jargons that you need to start getting used to from today. All right? So as I said, a business requirement document is going to talk about the business need, and a functional requirement document will elaborate the solution as of how this particular business requirement will be implemented. All right? For every business requirement, there will be a corresponding functional solution. Got it? Any questions?
No, it's clear.
Yeah, go ahead.
Business analyst is going to be dealing with the technical stuff, right? In functional solutions, functional
requirements, document.
Yeah, I mean, business analyst is going to be dealing with technical stuff, right? Or
not really.
No.
No. See, as part of the functional solution, you will be analyzing the business need and you will be putting as of how we can accomplish this. All right. Now, whatever you document in the functional requirement document as a BA, there is nothing no technology involved. There is no technology involved while you are in this whole process of whatever we are working. There is no technology, absolutely no technology involved. All right. But however, you need to understand, I'm trying to help you. You need to understand how to document a BRD, and you need to understand how to document a functional solution out of that BRD. So these are some things which I know you are not aware of. And what we are going to do is, once we are done with this software development methodologies, we have special classes where we take up a project, and for that project, we will make you write a BRD. For the BRD, we'll make you write an FRD, everything. Use cases, UML diagrams, any and everything that you could think of here, we will make you document in the class. It's a hands-on program. And I think
another question.
As of now, our goal is not to deep dive into this. Let's try to understand this at a high level, but pretty much once we are done with this whole exercise, then that's what we're going to do. Pretty much take a project and do everything.
I have a question, Subhash.
Yeah.
While documenting while making the BRD, the stakeholders will have a say in that, right?
Correct.
But while doing the FRD, it's completely BA's responsibility to do that.
Okay. So when you start documenting the business requirements, somebody is going to review and approve the business requirements. And when you start documenting the functional solution, somebody has to review and approve it. So in both the cases, as a BA, you document and you get it reviewed and approved. Now the functional solution that you're going to document is purely based on your business requirement. Okay? You will, as a business analyst, you will be driving the functional solution based on the business need. For example, if the business stakeholders are saying that, okay, we need to, as part of the business requirement, it's important that the clients have some access credentials to access their account. This is the requirement, right? Now, when I'm trying to translate this business requirement into functional solution, some of the logical questions that I would ask the business user is, okay, fine, how should they access their account? Do you want them to have a user ID password, which they can put it in the screen, and is that how it works? So all these are logical questions that you will be communicating with, with the business users, and somebody is going to give you information always. Somebody is going to feed you data. Somebody is going to guide you with the whole process.
Okay.
So at any point, whatever is documented in all these documents, of course, you are liable, but at the same time, there are people who are looking at every bit of information that you put, and if somebody is approving it, it means that they are okay with what you have documented. So they are always reviewing it, approving it.
Thank you.
Sean, are you able to hear us? I think he's having some technical issues. Folks, if you're having technical challenges in terms of logging in, I would recommend you to use your phone, your cell phone or your home phone to log in so that you can hear the audio properly. Sometimes because of the WebEx issues or some other issues, you may probably, or if your internet is slow, you will not be able to connect properly. So please make sure that your internet speed is good. And also, if you want a clear audio, I would always recommend you to connect, dial in using your phone, and if you can sit in front of computer, that's going to help. All right. Okay, so now based on the scope and vision, you are going to, as I said, based on the scope and vision, you are going to derive your business requirements, and from your business requirements, you are going to derive your functional solution. So pretty much this is the channel that that is flowing. As a BA, you will be responsible for ensuring that each and every milestone is documented, and you will be having review sessions and meetings with the stakeholders to get these documents approved. Okay, and also some of the milestones that I have documented here, like use cases, UML diagrams, requirements traceability, all these are some of the milestones. And what I can guarantee you is that as a BA, if you understand each and every milestone that I have documented here, I think you are good. You can easily go and start working as a BA in any project. So you should be able to understand all these milestones, know what each milestone, especially BRD, FRD, use cases, change request, all these. And I think you should be able to go and work as a BA. And what I can also assure you is, if you can master and practice on the projects that we work here, right, you will be capable of handling a business analyst role equivalent to 7 years experience within a short span of 6 weeks of training, 4 to 5 weeks of training. That is a guarantee. So it's up to you, as of how much work and effort that you're going to put to learn from each of these sessions. So that's totally upon you. Okay. So I think I want to stop the session today for now. Please go back. And so from next week, pretty much we are going to start at 9, from 9 to 11. Okay. I'm sorry, 9 to 1 from next Saturday and Sunday. Okay. And I think Thanksgiving. Great instruction. All right. So Thanksgiving, I think most of us want holiday. I think everybody was asking me about Thanksgiving. So we will take off on the Thanksgiving. That weekend. That week, Saturday and Sunday. If everybody is okay with that. Folks on the phone?
Yeah, I have a question, Subhash.
Yeah,
Saturdays and Sundays, 9 a.m. is the Central Time.
Okay, so the classes will be on Saturdays and Sundays, 9 a.m. to 1 noon Eastern Time. So if you are in Chicago, then it's 8 a.m. your time.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay. Saturday and Sunday both.
So, folks, a couple of things. We are going to create a new blog for the November. I think I have an overview of the new blog, our training blog, right? Create a new blog. What I want all of you to do is send me an email from your email account. Okay? Unless and until you see a Gmail account, I cannot give you
Subhash, there is a lot of disturbance. We cannot hear you.
Folks, please, can all of you mute your line? Okay, that's clear. So what I want all of you to do is please send an email for blog request with the subject blog request to this ID. Send an email to this ID and please do not forget to copy me. subhash.analyst@gmail.com. All right. So this is where you have to send an email and copy me as well to subhash.analyst@gmail.com. Please, as I said, please use your Google account. If you don't have a Gmail account, please create one and send it to me, because this is a Google blog that we are going to share with you. And most likely by Tuesday, the videos will be uploaded on the blog. So we'll have a fresh blog, as I said, for November. We'll have all these videos. Yesterday and today's video, introduction video, and today's class will be uploaded on the blog. And I'm assuming that I have given access, the walkthrough of the blog to everybody. And the most important thing that you need to do is, as soon as you log in, access the blog, please make sure that you subscribe to the site changes. I have shown you how to subscribe to the site changes. If you still need help, let me know. There is the spinning wheel on the top. I'm not sure if I have it open here. All right. As soon as you get an access, there is a spinning wheel on the top. Just click this, and you have to select subscribe to site changes. All right. And once you subscribe, then you will see this message, unsubscribe from site changes. Unless you do it, you will not get email notifications. Okay. All right. Any questions? ID, send an email to that ID and copy me. Give me 1 second. Folks on the line, do you have any questions?
Just a quick question, Subhash, this is Shaylee. So are we going, you just want us to review whatever we've gone through so far, get used to the blog, is that correct, for the next weekend? Or are there any particular, okay.
Yeah, and also, just go ahead and browse around, look for SDLC and read, come back with questions.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
All right. Anybody else, any questions, folks?
No.
All right. If you don't have questions, then I think I'm done. We will send the links for the. Also, please take a look at the meeting links section. For the next week, whoever is attending online, there is a meeting link section. The links will be posted in this section here. So all you have to do is just click the link and start accessing the blog. All right.
Okay. Sounds good.
Please make sure that you get access to the blog. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to call